And if you follow this Vita controversy, you've of course seen that he's the point guy. So Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few remarks.
Thank you, Kurt, and good evening. It is great to be here and to see so many people have come out for this evening's ice cream social. I just want to make a couple of quick comments. You know, I so much appreciate the fact that there are so many people here this evening, because I know you're here for the same reason that I am. You care about Chesterfield County, you love this community, you love Virginia, and you particularly love the United States of America. And you know, when we look around what's happening in our society, what's happening particularly in Washington, we all know deep in our core, and certainly intellectually and intuitively, that we are on the wrong track. We're on the wrong track. If there could not be a more clear example of the fact that elections matter, it's what's happening in Washington right now. I just want to challenge everybody here for just a moment. I was thinking about this the other day. I had a discussion about 16 or 20 years ago with a good friend of mine. It was one of those days where we were talking about all the problems in the world, and she turned to me and she said, "Now, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?" There's hardly a day that goes by, whether I'm at church or at work or just interacting with folks, where someone doesn't come up to me and express a lot of concern about the direction our country's going in. And so I'm going to challenge you, just as I've challenged everyone I've talked to. Don't take for granted that each of us don't need to have responsibility for what's happening in our country. It's our country. We need to stand up. We need to do something about it. We need to politely, maybe not so politely, let our elected officials know when they're doing something that we disagree with. We need to hold them accountable. We need to get involved in the political process. We need to put a sign up in our yard. We need to talk to our neighbors. We need to knock on doors. We need to go door to door. We need to put a bumper sticker on our car. All of those things are so important. There's no one else that's going to take responsibility and ownership of our country if all of us aren't willing to do that. So I hope all of you will join me and others of us who are here tonight who are active in the Republican Party and get involved. We've got a fantastic slate of candidates who are running. I know that Lee, myself, Kurt, Steve, and John, we've all served for many years with Bob McDonald, Ken Cuccinelli, and Bill Bowling. They are men of the highest possible caliber. They're men of great character. And I can tell you firsthand, they always do what they think is in the best interest of the citizens of the Commonwealth. And they will not disappoint us when they are elected in November. We certainly need your support. Kurt, do I need to introduce Delegate Ware by chance? I can do that. Well, let me just conclude by again thanking you for being here. Unfortunately, Bob could not be here, but their campaign folks did ask me to ask you if you would, before you leave tonight, if you haven't already done so, please grab a campaign sign. Please get a bumper sticker. Please think about writing a letter to the editor. If you have a Facebook page, a lot of us do. If you have a Facebook page, when you get home tonight, let people know that you were here. Hopefully you had a good time. Those little things make a big difference. And particularly in a community like Chesterfield, where people really care about what their neighbors think about things. So with that, I am going to introduce one of our other good friends who's here at the House of Delegates, the gentleman that I affectionately call Professor Ware. And that's because Delegate Lee Ware teaches government and history and is just a wonderful person and a great legislator. And he has a contested race this year. So I know a lot of people here live in Lee's district. So let's give Delegate Lee Ware a warm welcome.
Sam, thank you very much. It is a real pleasure and an honor for me to stand with the people that are here today. John Watkins, Kirk Cox, Sam Nixon. I know Ken Cuccinelli will probably be up very soon. I do have a contested race this time. I do have somebody who's running, claiming to be an independent, but a lot of the people around him have a connection with the fellow who's up in the White House doing the things that he's doing. He's no more an independent than that fellow is. I need your help. I need your assistance this time. And my race depends upon people like you who've taken time tonight in the middle of the summer because you care about the future of the Commonwealth of Virginia. you care about the United States of America. It can make a difference. It will make a difference. Let me mention one thing which comes to mind as we come to this occasion tonight. It's implicit in what Sam said earlier. You know, back in 1787, there was a constitutional convention in Philadelphia. When the men were concluded with their deliberations and the work that they had done, Ben Franklin, the oldest of their number at the time, walked out of the State House in Philadelphia, and he was asked by a lady on the street, said, "What is it that you have done, Mr. Franklin?" And he said, in words that I think we need to remember now as much as at any time in our history since 1787. He said, "Madam, we have a republic if you can keep it. A republic if you can keep it." It's going to take our work. A republic doesn't stay together without the work of dedicated citizens and without the integrity and the effort that you put forward. I'm deeply grateful for your support in the past, and I certainly am one of those who needs it a great deal as we go forward from here. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, each one of you, for what you do for the Republican Party and for the principles that we share and hold dear. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Let me say a few quick words about my race. I'm very blessed I don't have an opponent. But I want to sort of follow what Lee said. Both Lee and I are government teachers. And, you know, the Constitution, I think, for us is why we're there. It's why we teach government. It's a 7,600-word document. And I was at a conservative legislative conference the last 3 days and really got reinvigorated. You need to get reinvigorated. I teach government, as people said, right over here at Manchester High School. And actually, we had a speaker from believe it or not, the European Parliament, one of the most liberal parliaments in the world. And he was saying that he was a Jefferson scholar. He was talking about how much the American Constitution meant to him. He said the European Constitution has 76,000 words. It's the most top-down document you've ever seen. It's an elitist document where it praises the power of the state. And he was talking about our Constitution, which of course is a limited document. And you hear it all the time with Republicans that we're, a government of limits and trying to limit government. That's what it's all about. And he said something I thought very interesting. He said, that's your DNA. He says, and this was interesting. He said, it's not your people were so special. It's your document was so special. What came out of that was your DNA. And basically, that's what made you Americans. And then he sort of flipped to today. And he said, don't think, however, that that's going to last forever. And he talked about national health insurance, which they, of course, have had since 1946, 1947. And what he was saying basically was, if you look at us with national health insurance, we have 7,000 people that die every year, not from the disease they went in with, just from infection and just dirty conditions in our hospitals. You were 1/4, he was basically saying when it came to breast cancer, that in England, basically, you had about a 25% chance of survival when you compare with the United States. He was talking about 18-month waiting list for, hip replacement, etc. And he said it's a system we know doesn't work. And everyone knows that, but we can't get rid of it. And he sort of warned us, once that happens to you, it's going to be the same thing. And he said the joke is that the Obama administration is basically saying we're going to basically save $1 trillion, if you think about it, through health care reform. And he said, what is that reform? Does that reform Medicaid? He said currently Medicaid has between $70 and $80 billion a year of waste. He said one dentist in New York billed Medicaid 972 times for the same patient and they never caught it. And then he said, which was interesting, that one pizza establishment basically had 5 outlets and charged Medicaid for being an HIV center. And so, if they're no better than finding out fraud than that, this is basically the group that's going to, of course, cure healthcare in America. It's not only healthcare, it's cap and trade. We could go on and on and on and on and on. And please remember, our current governor is doing care. And so, we really value you. I mean, you're the ones who go out and you knock on the doors and you do all the work. But the campaign signs and the glitter, that's not why we're here. I mean, we're here about ideas. I mean, I've walked through the crowd and I've had more people come up and they're very passionate about the Constitution, the 10th Amendment, the Reagan Amendment, etc. That's why they're here. And I can tell you, I know speaking for these two guys, that's why we're here. And we're not here for the balloons and banners and the signs, etc. That's not why, hopefully, you go into public service. And so we all need to get reinvigorated.